New man on the Minnesota Vikings. I can't start a Vikings thing without doing that callback to that song. But yes, the Vikings are in an interesting spot, right? Like they got money, they spent some money in free agency. They've got a good offensive line. They've got maybe in theory, right? The interior of the offensive line not so great. Sam Darnold leaves in free agency after making it to the playoffs. With Sam Darnold had a couple of bad games at the end. He goes to the Seahawks to hang out with Clint Kubiak. So what do we have with Kevin O'Connell, right? I think Kevin O'Connell, first off, love the name. Kevin O'Connell sounds like he's going to be doing some tour guiding throughout Africa, telling you, oh, look at this little gazelle. I don't know. I can't do Australian. Or, actually, I can do Australian. I can't do South African. Look at this little gazelle over here. Yeah, mate. G'day. Anyway. Yeah, Kevin O'Connell, man. I dig Kevin O'Connell. Good play drawer upper of the play designer, offensive coordinator minded head coaches. Love his ability to go ahead and scheme things up. He is obviously a good coach because he got the best year of Sam Darnold in the history of ever of Sam Darnold's life, and it got Sam Darnold paid a little bit by the Seattle Seahawks. They didn't want to bring him back because they drafted J.J. McCarthy. They clearly like him. I only know what everybody else knows about J.J. McCarthy because I watched some of his tape when he was at Michigan a year ago when he was coming out in the draft. And then, I know what I know now because he didn't play this year because, he had an injury and they put him on IR. And they're like, listen, you're going to have a redshirt year anyway, so let's just go ahead and have you get that meniscus taken care of, buddy. And in the meantime, we'll have Sammy D go ahead and take us to the playoffs. So I actually thought they were going to tag Sam Darnold and keep him there. I guess they kind of wanted to do right by him, give him an opportunity to go out and get an open market thing. I don't know how well that did for him, to be honest, because maybe teams got a little shy because oh wait, why did the Vikings not want to bring him back? But again, they drafted a rookie in the first round. Clearly, Kevin O'Connell's going to get a longer leash because again, he made it to the playoffs with Sam Darnold and prior to that with Kirk Cousins. They've had a good run. So I think they were playing with house money as far as equity with the ownership goes. They've been, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi got extended. So I think that the ownership likes where the team is going. They're very forward thinking. Now, again, this was all part of a strategy not too long ago that they set in motion, right? They knew they were moving on from Kirk Cousins. They finally moved on from Kirk Cousins. They drafted a guy. They signed a dude. The guy who they signed is leaving, and now they got to see what is in J.J. McCarthy. Honestly, I know more about Jesse McCarthy than I do J.J. McCartney, because I think I'm saying this all wrong now because there's just so many J's in McCarthyism. But the J.J. McCartneyism is not unwarranted. I think there's some excitement. We're in camp right now. There was a day where he threw a bunch of picks. It's fine. It's camp. You're supposed to be trying stuff out. Now, again, all we heard were rave reviews for a bit. All we're hearing is this. The players. I think Justin Jefferson, the star receiver, it was listen, man, you got to be patient. You got to be patient with these dudes, these young rookie. So I think he's okay with, I think we're kind of trending into maybe it's going to be a light start at the beginning. But we saw a lot of throwing from Kevin O'Connell in that team last year with Sammy D. There wasn't they were taking their foot off the accelerator. So look at the pieces around Mr. McCarthy. Is he set up to succeed, or is this going to end up being a lot like the 49ers when they drafted Trey Lance, right? Now, listen, JJ, there was a rumor out there that Ryan Poles wanted JJ for number 1 overall. Bears GM. Not that he's necessarily the best evaluator of talent. I like some of the stuff he's done. I mentioned it before. I like a lot of the stuff that Poles has done this offseason at the direction of Ben Johnson. I digress. There's issues with Poles as well. Kwesi, though, big fan of Kwesi. Kwesi's kind of Kwesi with how he operates that GM room. But let's go back to what they've put around our buddy JJ, and I think that I like what they've done. I like Will Fries. He's coming off an injury. That might be one of those things where it's this looks good on paper, but again, if he's not healthy, signing guys off of injury is always kind of a little concerning. You want your guards to be good They did draft a guy too in Donovan Jackson, another guard. They moved on. They redid this whole interior offensive line, right? They moved on from Ed Ingram. They traded him to the Texans because the Texans were like, hey, we'll take all the offensive linemen we can. They got rid of Garrett Bradbury. They said, nah, man, like, you're okay. You can go to the Patriots, though. They need offensive linemen. We're going to go ahead and sign Ryan Kelly, Colts center. So they got 2 Colts offensive linemen on the interior. I liked that maneuver. 2 guys who already have some chemistry with each other. You have Darisaw on the left. You have Brian O'Neill on the right. So their tackle situation's been great. Will Fries is going to play guard for you. You're going to go ahead and have your rookie hopefully play one of the guard spots as well. So interior, I think they are pretty well set with who they've signed and drafted. We'll see, Donovan Jackson, at least you're put in a good position because you have the other 4 guys who have at least shown that they've developed and been very good. Ryan Kelly's been good in the NFL for years, basically since he was drafted by the Colts in the first round. But offensive line-wise, I feel like there's excitement there. I feel like they're trying to put some protection around JJ because clearly the interior offensive line was not good last year, and they wanted to address that. It was weird because didn't they just trade away Ezra Cleveland like a year prior or something, sent him to the Jags? It's a very weird situation there with like the turnover on the offensive line. Like Ezra Cleveland was good. I mean, there's a reason why he's going to probably be starting for the Jags this year. But I digress. It does feel like there's been a lot of turnover in that O-line room, and they said, listen, we want to make sure our guy is set. Let's go ahead and put as much good pieces there as possible. But remember, offensive line takes time to gel. Maybe this is also an identity thing. Maybe they were like, we want different style guards. Maybe we're looking to add some new wrinkles to the offense. And I couldn't be shocked if they did that because, to be honest, that's what good coaches do. Good coaches add wrinkles. And listen, Kevin O'Connell, not a guy who looks like he has a lot of wrinkles, but man, I think he's the kind of guy who's going to throw a lot more wrinkles in there if he can get away with it. Weapons-wise, I think they have a lot of good stuff there for JJ, right? You got TJ Hockenson. You got Josh Oliver, right? Josh Oliver. I always get the Olivers confused. Not because I'm a big Oliver Twist fan. Oliver, Isaiah and Josh, solid guys in the NFL. Josh been a very solid tight end. Isaiah, solid corner, currently on the Jets. I did talk about him for a half a second, I believe, the other day. But tight end room looks pretty solid. They could run a lot of 12 personnel if they want to. And then you look at the receiving room. I mean, come on. You got possibly, if not the best receiver in the NFL, definitely top 2 or top 3 in Justin Jefferson. Then you also have Jordan Addison, a very good number 2 to go along with him. And I think that you're going to see, again, very good weapons already setting you up. They drafted Ty Felton in the 3rd round. So we'll see if anything comes out of that guy. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a year or 2 before we see anything from him. I think the weapons are there. And the running back room, all right, maybe I wanted something. I wanted more spark to that running back room. But, honestly, are they better off drafting Donovan Jackson if he plays good at guard or has to kick out the tackle? Because he's done that in Ohio State. He did that for Josh Simmons. And then he, and he played pretty well, actually. So I think he's going to play at a very high level, Mr. Jackson. So at least eventually, I don't know if it's going to be year 1. I think you're hopefully putting enough pieces around him. I also like that they brought in Justin Skol, reserve offensive lineman, but has played pretty well in spot starts as a reserve offensive lineman. Currently, formerly of the Bucs and I believe also the Ravens before that. But he's a pretty good depth spot. If that's your 6th O lineman, I like that as your 6th O lineman, and you don't have to really worry about putting Donovan Jackson in at left tackle if you have to, if Darisaw is not able to play, re-injures, gets injured, whatever happens. So that starting 5, and then even the reserves, I kind of like. I like the reserve that they have here of offensive linemen. So very happy with where they're going with this team. I know, again, Will Fries, I'm a little concerned coming off of a broken tibia, after week 5. He had some good moments, and he looked like he had been, on the rise, but a little concerning, right? It feels like you're buying high. And to be fair, free agency is when you're overpaying for guys, and clearly they wanted an upgrade, and they did an upgrade. So not going to overly criticize him for it, but I do have concerns with that. Let's talk about the D-line a little bit. Let's go to the defensive side, because honestly, I can't tell you anything. Oh, the running back room. Talk about the running back room. Jordan Mason. Sounds like a great name for a neo-noir character. Maybe a real film noir character from the 1940s. Maybe we could find that somewhere out there. There's some old neo-noir film noir movie that has a guy named Jordan Mason. Or maybe, like, again, maybe Perry's brother, I guess. Maybe he runs his own law firm, but it's just real estate or, like, probate or something. I digress. I actually don't mind the Jordan Mason trade and extension because Aaron Jones wasn't all that, like, he's good, but he's old. He is old, and give him some spot stuff, good pass catcher out of the backfield. He came back. So I like a lot of the stuff that they're doing. You don't have to rely now on Aaron Jones being the key cog in your run game. You have Jordan Mason who can kind of do it in between the tackles and knows the offensive scheme pretty well. I like it. I did think they would take a shot earlier on a running back, but listen, like, they didn't have that many picks in this draft, and a lot of that's been because of the maneuvering of the up and down the draft, and both this year and mostly the prior year actually. But I digress. I think, offensively, I like what they have. I like this running back room. I think it's a solid running back room. I like the O-line. I like the scheme. I like the coach. I like the receivers. So, I'm not like concerned. Like, Jalen Nailor's a good number 3, and so, like, as a wide receiver, you got who's the other one? Rondale Moore, who they brought in, who's kind of like a gadgety kind of dude, and maybe will be a return guy for him. Let's talk defense now. I finally got the defense. Brian Flores, very good schemer of the defense, likes a lot of that man coverage stuff. They brought back Byron Murphy on a deal. I thought that was a smart move on the extension. What else they have? They have Okudah, who they brought in. Not a huge excitement for me, at least for Okudah, but I do like the name Okudah. Okudah. Miss Okudah. I do like Okudah. If I could pick a name to have my fake last name, it'd be Okudah. Cause y'all Okudah. I digress, though. I do like a lot of this defense. Isaiah Rodgers also there. They brought him on a 2-year deal. Back end wise, I think it's going to be fine. They always been able to scheme stuff up. The safety room, solid safeties with Harrison Smith. They got Cashman and. I think the concerns I have are they think that they're going to get better with this D-line because they signed Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen at the late stages of their career. A little bit more concerned about that. We're going to hopefully see a year 2 bump from Dallas Turner. They have Van Ginkel there as a solid rusher, and obviously, familiarity with Brian Flores, had some of his best years in that kind of a scheme. Grenard has actually been a good signing for them after the first year. I think that was maybe the most interesting one, is the guy who they kind of got from the Texans after Davenport went there. He came here. It was all kind of traded up. I kind of like what Grenard has been for them. So D-line wise, with Phillips has been good for them, pretty solid dude. I'm a little bit more concerned about thinking they're going to be much better, though, as far as interior rush with Javon Hargrave, with Jonathan Allen, with the deals that they signed in free agency. Both guys who were cut from their teams because, again, dudes in their 30s who maybe weren't playing at the highest level, very good interior rushers. Maybe they'll do a little bit of a rotation there, but D-line wise, I'm not like concerned because, again, like we know Flores can scheme stuff up, but I'm not overly concerned with the defense. Like, again, as long as Flores is there, I think they're good. I don't know if it's going to be as much of an improvement as they were looking for. Is really the concern that I would have. But I don't think they have to rely on that defense. And again, just the way that Flores utilizes his blitzes and keeps guys, and their pressures and their stunts, very good at doing that stuff. So I'm not afraid for them yet. But I have concerns, maybe, like slight concerns, not real concerns. And again, I just don't think it's as much of an improvement. I actually think it's going to probably be the same level of defense. I don't think they lost enough where it was I don't think they lost really much at all of stuff that I'm like, oh no, they're going to be in a bad place. No, I think bringing back Theo Jackson on a 2-year deal was a smart move. They have Smith, they have Cashman at linebacker. I like what they have going on here. I think they might have bumped the floor up a little bit with those 2 D tackle signings, but I don't know. Again, with the Vikings, I think they're in a division I think it's one of the hardest divisions in the NFL. You're going to have a rookie QB. It's, where does that place them? They're all, essentially a rookie QB anyway. I know it's in his second year, but, it's them, Ben Johnson in his first year, with the second year of Caleb Williams. At least he's had some playing experience in the NFL. Detroit Lions, after losing their, OC and DC, one of them to the Bears. it's an interesting division, right? And the Packers have been, pretty much atop that division, if not number one, often one of the top two teams in that division for a while. And then the Vikings, again, last year were in the top two for that division. Again, all three of the four teams made it to the playoffs last year. So I kind of like what they have. We'll see what ends up happening. I'm not as bullish as maybe I was a year. I think that's the thing. I think I don't want to overrate it because I just don't know what McCarthy is. I know what O'Connell is. He's good. But if they have a bad year, he's not getting fired. He's just not. Like, they know they have the coach in O'Connell. It's really, okay, now do you have the stuff that's going to bring you to the next step? And I'm not sure that they were – I mean, again, it's gotten harder to be aggressive in free agency and find really good pieces, but I'm not sure what they got out of free agency was enough to make me feel like they put themselves over the edge. Unless, again, I mean, on the defensive side, offensive-wise, I think the interior of the offensive line's a lot better. I mean, I think if you put Sam Darnold last year behind this offensive line, I think it'd be pretty good. We'll see what wrinkles they add. But I have hope for the Minnesota Vikings in 2020.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous. About the past and about the future.